If you're using AI or ChatGPT, for example, there are a couple of settings that you need to be very aware of. There's one in particular that if you haven't changed it, then I would probably advise you do, particularly if you're working in a business or you're working with client data. Just before I get to that, you may have already noticed there's been a bit of a shift around in ChatGPT, so I'm going to use this particular interface to illustrate the point. But before I do, you will notice that the canvas has gone from here, because it was in beta, it was on a beta stage, and has moved down to this new tool here, which is capturing the search. It is capturing DALL-E, where we used to just say create a picture, or it would know to create a picture. The O1 element, that's the exact same thing as this here. That's the advanced reasoning model. I'll not go into what that is at the moment. And then canvas is now here. So it's out of beta and in for full use. The next thing to wonder about is the side. Yep, that's exactly the same. I'm just using a demo version here of ChatGPT. You will see here that we also have the ability to speak to it if you've not come across that. Oh, the reason I came in here was obviously this search function. So you can search through your threads. For those of us that have been using ChatGPT for a long time, this is a long overdue feature that only came out a couple of weeks ago, a month ago maybe, but very, very useful. The main settings is if you go to your icon here, and then you go to settings, there's a number of settings you can play with, but the one that you really need to look out for is under the data controls and this top part here, where it says about improving the model for everyone. If you have that turned to on, then everything you put in to ChatGPT, all the documents, all the text, the images, the data, whatever it is, gets pulled into the full model as part of the training process. Now, for a lot of things, that's not a big issue. If you're just summarizing documents or asking questions or looking for recipes or something like that, it's not an issue at all. I don't mind having that on for some things I'm doing, but I just have it off now by default, so I don't forget to turn it off. If you're working with sensitive data, you really should put it into AI anyway without obfuscating it or modifying it so it's making it a bit more anonymous. Or if you're working with client data, then you really don't want that getting sucked into the model, because it's less clear with the data regulations in the US and the EU for a start, but you're best just to be rather, safe than sorry, as it were. So I'd recommend having that off when you're working, particularly on professional stuff. So do the same thing for other AI systems, or double check whether they ingest the information that you put into the AI, into its training model, or whether they keep it separate. In a later video, I might talk about different ways of using AI, how to run it completely privately, so either on your own servers or run it locally so that it doesn't touch anything out with your immediate control, or even just running on your own computer locally, not even going, what you can do without an internet connection. So there's a few different ways you can, though, depending on how sensitive you are to the privacy levels. But for the vast majority of us, having that feature turned off and just using something like ChatGPT is probably completely fine for you. In the next video, I'm going to look at the Canvas feature, because one of the challenges with the Canvas feature is trying to use it in conjunction with some of these pre-trained experts that we've created. Because if I go to one of these pre-trained experts, like this business coach, for example, you'll notice that this is grayed out, and we can't use these advanced features with it directly. But there is another way to do it so we can use them in conjunction, and that's what I'm going to cover in the next video.